So I'm out in the Rocky Mountains of Alberta once again, this time on a little bit of a hike to a high alpine lake. I'm calling it Lost Lake because there really isn't a trail into it. The way you get there starts out not too bad. This is an old deactivated logging road, and then it turns into a quad trail that you can't quad on anymore. Eventually you get to the Great Divide Trail, and then you have to take a little bit of a bushwhacking detour. This lake isn't named. I managed to find it on Google Earth, and like I said, bushwhack a trail into it. If you follow me on Instagram, I gave you a little bit of a sneak preview of this last week. I was out here, managed to find it, but didn't bring my better camera along. That's a whole different story. So I'm out here again this week, basically the same gear setup as last week. Brought one more sweater that I didn't have last week because even though it's the middle of June, it is still darn cold up here at night. 7,000 feet, pretty close to freezing. So I got some streams to cross and a bit of a hike ahead, so let's unpack this as we go. So that's where we're headed. That little lake is tucked up right at the base of that rock face, in the center of the bowl, right at the tree line. Okay, so it's 20 to 6, and there's one more creek to cross before we do a little bit of bushwhacking. Now this one is definitely higher than when I was here a week ago. I'm going to set up the camera, but I don't have any confidence that I'm not going to get my feet wet. So this is where I have to go off the trail, basically make my way up this hillside through the trees at the top and then back to the creek that we just crossed and follow it up to the mouth of the lake. So I came in from the backside of the lake and there weren't any signs of people over there. So I thought I'd walk around the lake, and sure enough, there's some fire rings over here. So I guess this must be the campers' village side of the lake. And while I'm a little disappointed that I'm not the first one to ever set eyes on this lake, I'm not really that surprised in this day and age. Nonetheless, it's still a beautiful spot, and I'm going to camp here for the night. So it's pretty late, but I thought I would just give you a shot of the debris field here at the head end of the lake. That's a good thing the days are long, 20 to 10. Tarp shelter is set up. I think it's time to have some dinner. So it's just after midnight, and I'll give you a quick look at the sleep system here tonight. Instead of bringing a sleeping bag to keep the weight down, I'm just going to be sleeping in my clothes. So got a couple of lightweight down jackets, a military surplus fleece, and then over top of all that, I'm going to be sleeping in my Gore-Tex rain jacket. A thin foam pad underneath me, laying on a poly tarp to provide some protection against the cold ground. And then, of course, I'm sleeping in the sill tarp, which should give me a little bit of a protection against the wind. So temperature is going to get pretty close to freezing here tonight. I can tell you I'm not going to be super comfortable, but I think this should be survivable. Well, I think that's about it for this one. You can hear that crazy raging creek in the background there. Got to cross that again on the way out, but I think I may as well sign it off here. You know, it had some great views up at that lake that turned out to be not quite so lost, but that's all right. Always a good time in the mountains. Thanks for coming along. Subscribe if you haven't already done so, and check out my profile on Instagram. You're going to find some extra photos of this trip and others up there, and I appreciate your support. Until next time, take it easy.